Hey, what is up, my YouTubian subscribers? Here to do my final RWBY Volume 5. I guess it's a discussion video this time. This time, whole volume. I'm gonna talk about everything that's happened, or at least the plot points that I think were pertinent to discuss. So, like, comment down below, on with the show. Oh, Amino, get me up to 200, please! I'm very, very close to 200 on Amino. I'm like 8 people away, so pretty please. 200 people on Amino, follow me. Sorry, I'm just happy about that. Anyways, okay, first general thoughts. I liked the beginning. The middle was slow, and there was some filler episodes, and I tried to be as positive as I could during those. If you go back, I tried to stay positive. The only episode I was overtly negative in were the last 3 episodes, which were dog shit chapters, and then the end was a dog shit show filled with one major plot hole that puts into question the Oz Illuminati as a whole. Now, let's begin with the beginning. The opening is actually very strong. I thought the first 4 episodes were some of the best RWBY has ever had. I thought it was the single best opening to a volume that has ever happened in RWBY. I thought that we were building up to something really, really good. They had established there was a definitive timeline, which was the first time in RWBY that's ever happened, where we got to know that Blake is a month ahead of everyone else, whereas everyone else is 2 months behind. We fixed the major issue of Yang getting to Haven within a couple of days, when it's really been a couple of weeks. So, of course, again, there are issues with, like, she did travel an extra, probably, I don't know, she probably crossed 2 continents, because it looks like where the bandit tribe was hiding is the northern tip of Haven's, the country of Haven, and Haven's in, like, the middle of Haven itself. The city is in, like, the middle of Haven itself, and so she traveled far beyond where RWBY and company traveled, and I don't know. It just, so that extra month that Yang took to find Raven could be the what's, like, it's still funky. The timeline is still funky and it's still broken, but it's much less broken than it was in Volume 4, where it was 3 fucking days. That was just stupid. That was ill thought out, and it was evidence that, to me, Miles and Carrie have a bunch of yes men who fill their fucking writing staff. Nobody questions them, nobody challenges them, they just go along with what Miles and Carrie say, and I'm sick and tired of that fucking shit, because you end up with Raven as a spring maiden when you end up with 3 days for Yang to get cross fucking what's it called, cross 2 continents. You end up with Sun struggling to carry, Sun struggling to hold Ilya down in Volume 4, and then fucking spanking her, bending her over the metaphorical table, and just in the end of Blake's storyline of this volume. Like, she didn't land a hit on Sun, whereas he struggled to hold her down in Volume 4. And I know some people argue, well, she wasn't in the right state of mind. She had just fought Blake. No, Sun shouldn't have been able to spank Ilya that hard. The fact that he collapses a fucking wall, and then, like I said, pointed out during that entire story, that episode, the fact that Gira and 2 sons were still struggling to carry that freaking, like, 5 foot by 10 foot rectangle of wood. It's no, like, and nobody questions them. Nobody's like, well, are we making a legitimate power scale? Are we following lore we established? I mean, I get it. There's one thing that I like, Yang losing the fire in her hair, because it's difficult to animate that in Maya. Well, it's an established part of the lore, so guess what? You're gonna have to deal with that. You can't just have it go away. RWBY not using her semblance since, if you want to be fair, she used it once during the Nuka-Lave Grim fight, but she didn't use it during the Tyrion fight. She didn't use it during the entirety of the Fall of Haven. So you end up with shit like that when you don't have proper editing staffs. Someone there who's going to challenge Miles and Carrie. Someone who's going to get in their face and be like, no, this is fucking stupid. People are going to point out that this is a fucking plot hole. Fix it. Jean saying that it's his aura. No, this feels like my aura. Aura heals our body. No, this feels like aura. I'm amplifying her aura with my own. and then them sitting there giggling in RWBY Rewind. Oh, it's his semblance. Look at how good he. Look at we foreshadowed this all the way back during the card info. Mm-mm. I'm sorry, but that's poor writing. It may have been foreshadowed, but that's shitty writing. That shouldn't. Somebody, an editor, should have said, "Hey, that's be more specific." Have Jean say, "Yeah, this." But it feels like I'm using. It feels like my semblance is amplifying her aura at the cost of my own. The fact that that's about as consistent as power levels in RWBY. The fact that the idea that semblances and aura draw from the same freaking power source, that's not consistent across RWBY as a whole. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. That's just but I'm really, really furious at this story arc, at this entire volume. Why? Because it started strong enough that I was so confident that they had learned from Volume 4's mistakes, from Volume 3's mistakes. They didn't. It's worse than it's ever been. The Nomad of... anyways, I'm sorry, off topic. So yeah, the opening Yang storyline, good stuff. Blake's storyline, it's better than Volume 4, but yeah, it's fundamentally broken. You're never going to be able to rescue Blake's storyline. The best they can do is just forget Colleague, forget Gira, forget Kuakawana, forget Menagerie. Have them be there in the background, but forget about them as like potential mainstays of the series, because yeah, you're never gonna fix that story. You'd have to go all the way back. You'd essentially, to fix Blake's storyline, you need to go back all the way to Volume 1 or Volume 2, Tuxon's book trade. Tuxon can't own a bookstore. You'd have to establish that yeah, there's racism not just in one or two kingdoms, not just people being racist like Cardin, but it's a systemic racism. There needs to be more hidden flawness across the series. Like you'd have to, it would take a complete retconning or a complete rewrite of Blake's story to make it better. That being said, Weiss's story, it's very minuscule. She learns that Winter isn't in Haven anymore. That's about it for Weiss's story. And then she has one moment where she plays the mama bear role for Yang. When Yang breaks down and is like, what if I need somebody? Weiss tells her backstory and says, everyone feels loneliness. I know it sucks, but when Blake comes back to us, because she's gonna come back to us, I'm gonna forgive her. The main issue is it impacts the Blake Yang relationship negatively. That scene, it's a good scene, don't get me wrong, it does, but it impacts the RWBY reunion. Yang shouldn't have forgiven Blake that easily. I mean, Yang has a history of fucking abandonment, and Blake, I don't see her as being able to just be like, yeah, okay, I forgive you. That's just, especially just after her mom left her again. Like, Yang should have came out of this volume much more broken than she was. Yeah, RWBY had one defining moment, but it is that moment that's going to be remembered. It's when she breaks down finally, when she becomes a human instead of just a caricature of a huntress, of a solid everyone. No, she comes off as a human in this moment with Oscar, where Oscar's finally breaking down. He's like, who would sign up for this war? And RWBY replies, well, nobody signs up for it. It just happened. And I had two friends who were killed, and I know they would move forward. They'd keep moving forward, keep going on. It was a really, really sharp moment, really, really poignant. It felt good, and unlike the Yang, Weiss, Blake discussion that really circumvented the RWBY reunion, which ruined the RWBY reunion in a lot of ways. This maintains RWBY as a character. This makes her a better character because she's doing things because she wants to help people, and it reinforces that idea that she's just gonna keep moving forward even though she's hurt. And yeah, Jean had no moments. Juniper had no moments as a whole, pretty much. I mean, Jean had, like I was saying earlier, Jean unlocked his semblance. But again, that was just, everyone kind of suspected that he was going to have a healing semblance. I was kneeling towards some kind of shield, because I always figured that was his aura healing him, not his semblance. Again, that it's inconsistent at best, but whatever. Having a healing semblance doesn't explain when Cardin just boom and then he reflects his fist back at him. No, it doesn't explain that. So again, it's it's good. It was okay, but it came in some of the shittiest parts of RWBY ever written. That was the issue. Like it came in at arguably three of the worst ever written chapters of RWBY. And so you could have had an amazing moment. The sword fight between maidens was an amazing moment in RWBY, but it was covered in shit. There was shit on one side of it, shit on the other side of it, and so that fight just gets a downgrade and then the fact that it is a sword fight between two maidens. But again, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, no. So there's our main cast. Nobody moves forward. Nobody really, very little character development, and what character development there is there, like the Yang Weiss development, it was used to negatively impact the rest of the show as a whole, and that's not a good thing. Now we move on to the villains. The villains were shit. First off, you start with Vernal. Vernal, immediately nobody liked her. That's why I feel like that's why they pivoted and made Raven the Spring Maiden, is because nobody liked Vernal. I don't think I challenge you. This is a personal challenge I'm gonna issue the RWBY fan base. Find me a moment of true foreshadowing for Raven being the Spring Maiden. And there is none. I promise you that. I rewatched Volume 4. I rewatched Volume 2. I rewatched Volume 5 looking for moments that foreshadowed her being the Spring Maiden. And there is none. And that's the problem. Vernal should have been the Spring Maiden. They established her fairly early on. She has powers, and then they stripped them of her. They strip her of those powers, and I know for a fact that they didn't plan it, because you see Raven in plenty of shots without her mask on while Vernal is using the powers, and at least one major shot where Vernal does basically the exact same thing Raven does, but while wearing the mask without the mask on. You see Raven in the background. Vernal creates a storm, and then, in fact, even more so, she fires a bolt of lightning as well. Whereas when Cinder asks Vernal to showcase her power while Raven's standing there with her mask on, she doesn't create the bolt of lightning, just creates the storm. So yeah, it's a shit show, that plot twist, and I'll get to it, because I'm gonna rant about that thing when I get to it. Raven, a worse character than she should have been. I mean, they completely ruined Raven's character in this volume. Like, she comes off as more human, which is cool. That's fine, but the fact is, the mask the metaphorical mask she puts on with the whole oh, only the strong survive. But really, she cares about Yang. She cares about her tribe. She cares about everyone. I'm sorry, but no, because then because the idea that she could care about so many people means that she could have teleported to anyone, pretty much, that she spent a modicum of time with. The fact that makes her semblance really fucking overpowered. The idea is the original idea was that Crow wanted a family, he wanted the friends, he wanted the people around him to support him and be with him, but couldn't because of his semblance. And then you had a woman who could literally be with her family and friends at any time, anywhere, and she didn't want that. They successfully ruined the potential of Raven's semblance, the potential of her as a character as a whole. And I'm just calling bullshit. A lot of people still want her to die. They wanted her to die to Cinder. I would have called that would have been the biggest fucking plot armor for a Cinder ever, if she beats a 22-year veteran with 10 years as a fucking maiden. There's no fucking way. She barely beat Amber, who was called a young and inexperienced maiden. Even though she's a maiden now, they were like this. Raven started off at a higher base, and then you stacked the maiden powers on top of that. So Cinder shouldn't have won that fight, and I'm glad she's dead. I hope she stays dead. She shouldn't come back. There's no fucking way she should come back from what happened to her. But yeah, Cinder is just Cinder. She's arrogant. She's self-absorbed. She's prideful, and it nearly got her killed by Jean Arc. It got her caught by Pierre Nikos, and now it got her killed by Raven Bronwyn. Cinder. They've stripped Mercury, they stripped Emerald right down to being one-dimensional scissoring with Cinder. That's them right now. That's all Emerald's character is right now, is the fact that she loves Cinder. That's it. That's all her character was. And yeah, to the point where she activates her semblance more monstrously strong in the finale than she's ever done, because Cinder died. Now I have a theory that maybe the Spring Maiden power had entered her and it boosted her. I'm thinking that it also boosts aura, but again, we don't know much about the Maiden powers other than they allow you to control elements. But I'm thinking because the fact that Cinder would have died underground, I'm thinking if one of the girls are the Spring Maiden, we wouldn't have seen it, because it would have been passing through the ground and right directly in. Not only that, but the only time we've seen it transfer was when it was a partial transfer. So again, we don't know how it looks. That whole golden glow or that orange glow that left Amber and went into Cinder, that could very well have been just because Cinder already had half of the Maiden powers and it was literally clawing its way out of Amber to get to its hole. That doesn't explain why it wouldn't be doing the same thing on Cinder's side, but whatever. That's what I'm thinking happened. Mercury's just the arrogant, prideful. He's been stripped down to those two arrogant, and he's not even as badass as he was. I mean, there's no fucking way RWBY should have been able to land a hit on Mercury, let alone get her weapon taken away from her and then land a hit, and then no fucking way. The guy hasn't ever gone full out fighting in the series. Hazel was the biggest disappointment in this volume, other than the plot twist. Hazel was a badass. He was quiet. He was menacing. He looked like he might even be a pacifist for all of his size, and then he hulks out, stabs himself with 2 dust crystals. Oh, you killed my sister, and it's like, dude, even assuming that she wasn't a special admittance, she had 4 years at least, if not more, training in a pre-beacon combat school. Plus, she was going on 18. So, yeah, Hazel got one of the weakest backstories in all of RWBY history. Like, I'm sorry, but they refuse to make their villains that human, 3-dimensional characters with goals, dreams, and aspirations that just so happen to go against those of the heroes. Instead, we get these mooks, these stubborn assholes that nobody likes. Nobody likes them. Like, Cinder's only popular because she was hot. Emerald's only popular because she's hot, but nobody likes Mercury. Tyrion probably the best villain ever created, and that's because his motivations are so shallow that they're good. He's an insane person who sees Salem as a goddess and will do anything for her. But Tyrion wasn't even in this volume. Watts was in this for like a few episodes, calls out Cinder's gonna cause the plan to fail, and then leaves, and then lo and behold, he was right. So yeah, the villains were they were weak. And then let's go to the final 4 episodes. If you haven't watched my reviews, if you've watched my reviews, you know I'm about to get heated. If you haven't, then yeah, be prepared. I'm about to get fucking heated. The final, chapter 11 was okay. 12, 13, and 14 were some of the worst episodes in RWBY fucking history. Easily worse than easily, if you want to say, the second worst volume 2, and the Breach. No, the Breach was bad because they successfully depowered the fucking Grimm. This depowered every one of the villains. The villains should have shit on the heroes. Hazel took a beating, a 7-sided fucking beating. Mercury is a fucking Mercury is a at least a mid tier character. He can run fast enough to dodge lightning. Emerald can replicate that feat. You had two fucking maidens, Vernal, who was able to kick in Weiss Schnee's head while stopping her from making an attempt at summoning. And then you had a headmaster level character who was getting shit on in Leo Lionheart all fight. Like, I'm sorry, but they had to Adam taken out in one shot, and then he was depowered politically by abandoning his troops. Oh my god! Like the breach had its issue with what's it called, Coco and Team Coffee being able to just wreck shop. Like, they were able to make villains, they were able to make Grimm that gave Team RWBY and Juniper a hassle. They're just able to hose them down like nothing. They made the Grimm a non-threat, because if second year students are capable of that, third, fourth graduated huntsmen should just be able to kill everything and everyone minus the oldest, biggest, strongest Grimm. And there's only a handful of big, strong Grimm. There's those elephant Grimm, and then there's the dragon Grimm. And those are... No. This depowered Salem's crew, this depowered Cinder's crew, this depowered any potential threat Adam posed. This made the heroes, this gave the heroes a victory they shouldn't have had. Then you combine that with poor animation, poor fight choreography, poor scripting, poor everything, just across the board, just shit after shit after shit after shit. And then the cream of the crop, the shiniest turd on top of this turd pile, Raven being the Spring Maiden. And this is where the video ends, because I'm gonna talk about Raven being the motherfucking Spring Maiden. Do you know what this does to the series? First off, lore behind the maidens, gone, thrown out the window. Second off, everything we know about from the Ozluminati is now put into question. The Ozluminati, Ozpin, Crow, Glinda, Ironwood, Leo Lionheart, the other two fucking headmasters, gone. They're no longer reliable narrators. No longer can you trust a thing out of Ozpin's mouth. Everything Ozpin says can now be reliably countered. You can say no, I don't believe Ozpin. You can say no, I don't believe Ozpin. The guys can say, well, why not? Then you say he killed fucking Pierre Nikos. Him and his crew, his cabal of merry psychopaths, played a massive role in the death of Pierre Nikos because they refused to give her all the information. The fact that Glinda sat there knowing full fucking well that she could have become the Fall Maiden, and then continued to lie to Pierre fucking Nikos. That's why I don't like this fucking plot twist. Then the age of fucking Raven. We're given enough information to know she would have been 21, leaving school, 6 months to cross to fucking Haven, 9 months to carry Yang, whatever amount of time she spent training the Spring Maiden, whatever amount of time she spent training or spying for Ozpin. She was damn near 40. No matter, even the most conservative estimates, she was above 31. The most conservative estimates of how old she was close to 40. And that's not an extreme estimate. An extreme estimate would say she was above 40. She could have been easily 27, 26, 28 way before she had Yang. I don't say that. I say she's like 23, 22. Because I don't fucking I wanna believe in Miles and Carrie. But they did it. They had one of the worst moments in RWBY history. And oh my god. Oh my motherfucking god. The fans just ate it up. Hirohie, Mediocrity 4, the RWBY podcast on Mediocrity 4, and I'm calling you out, Mediocrity. I'm sorry, but you're calling out teleporting characters when you have a lore-breaking moment like this? Yeah, I'm calling you out. I'm sorry, media. I like you. I like your videos. I'm a fan. But I'm sorry, but the fact that you didn't bring that up during the final finale video, the finale live stream, that hey, this was a fucking plot hole the size of fucking Russia. And and Hirohige, Gilfish, everyone, Calaxian. If any of you guys watch this, I'm disappointed in you. This is why Miles and Carrie feel like they can do just anything, because you guys eat it all up. No, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna shovel shit into my mouth and say, thank you, Miles and Carrie, that was delicious. No, that ain't fucking happening with me. No, this was a plot hole. This was a fucking massive plot hole. This is lore breaking, and it was just bad fucking writing. They did it because nobody liked Vernal, and they wanted shock value, and it was a shock value plot twist that created a massive fucking plot hole. And I'm like I said, I'm disappointed in all the reviewers. Everyone who said, who jumped out of their seat, oh, she's the spring man. No. You guys are a disappointment. You guys shouldn't let this shit happen. You guys should call out Miles and Carrie instead of just eating their fucking shit. No, and I'm gonna keep calling them out every time. Next volume, I am gonna be a lot more negative, because that shit shouldn't fly. It shouldn't fucking fly, and it flew with you guys. Yeah, and I called out Mediocrity because I think Mediocrity is one of the most intelligent reviewers on YouTube. Him and Fat Man. And Fat Man should have a heyday with this whenever he gets around to doing his reviews for the last 4 or 5 episodes. That being said, from what I've watched, even he's not questioning Raven being the fucking Spring Maiden. Even he's not questioning the fact that they fucking have John say he's using his aura instead of his semblance. Even he's not questioning the complete fucking depowering of all the fucking villains. I'm sorry, but you don't nitpick Mediocrity. I'm calling you out. This is directly at you, Mediocrity, because I'm posting this to the Discord. You don't nitpick when there's a fucking pile of shit right in the main series, in full frame, purposefully done. You don't nitpick teleporting characters and poor choreography. I can do it because I fucking called them out on I'm not gonna swallow their shit. I have issues, and I fully acknowledge the fact that I have issues with even the Blake and Ilya fight. I have issues with the Sun and Ilya fight. I had issues with the Yang versus the Bronwyn Bandit fights. But this isn't those issues were minuscule. They were choreography issues. They were speed issues. They were animation issues. This was a slap in the face to the RWBY fan base. Raven being the Spring Maiden was a slap in the face to the RWBY fan base, and everyone just ate it up. And honestly, I love RWBY. I want to see it get better, and the only way it's gonna get better is if people don't swallow shit from Miles and Carrie. If they make it known that we want new writers, or at the very least we want Miles and Carrie on a tight leash, toeing the line. They can't just say, we planned it for a long time and then get away with it. No, this wasn't planned. There was no fucking foreshadowing, and everyone ate it up. Garbage. The finale. Let's move on. The finale, 16 and a half minutes. 3-minute Nomad out of Nowhere shouldn't matter in RWBY. Do it. Show the trailer, but make a proper length finale episode before you do it. The RWBY reunion shouldn't be a minute long. And that's it. Like, that's where my thoughts are. I'm mad. I'm furious. I don't want to see RWBY Volume 6 take the same level of shit. I don't want to open up RWBY Volume 6 and then have shit being piled on at me. After Volume 4, I was excited. Volume 5 was going to be great. Volume 5 started out great. And then just shit happened. Miles and Carrie disappointed me. The RWBY fan base disappointed me. I'm sorry, and I want to take part in this fan base, but I can't just be the person who looks at the story and says, that's good enough. No, I want it to be beyond good enough. I want it to be remembered as one of the best stories ever written, and it's never going to be that now because you would have to rewrite the series as a whole. And I recommend go read Paul Zion's Tomorrow Never Again, RWBY Tomorrow Never Again. That's a better version of this show. Yeah, Jean's not fucking worthless. RWBY and company are still, there's a consistent power scale across the show, across the book. I recommend there's plenty of better fan fiction that you can read out there that are better, more well written, better character development. This is worse than Jean Ryu Long. The fan, like, you want, this is RWBY at this point. RWBY Volume 5 was worse than a book that had Jean become a part dragon with like 30 semblances and like a harem of, like, a legit harem of women. No, bro, this is bad. And we just ate it up. I didn't, and I'm proud to say I didn't, and I'm never gonna eat it up. But yeah, like I said, RWBY podcast, mediocrity. The fact that I'm disappointed in you guys for not calling out the points that mattered in your reviews. You call out teleporting character. Who gives a fuck if a character teleports? When a character legitimately breaks the lore of the show, that's where you should matter. Yang using her semblance after getting her aura shattered by that big ass fucking Ursa Grimm in her character chart. People should have called that out. Nobody called that out. I know I'm gonna get hated. I know I am, and I'm sorry. If you love the show, if you loved Volume 5, that's good for you. You found enjoyment out of something I couldn't find enjoyment out of. And I'm happy for you. You keep loving the show. That's you. That's all good for you. I'm happy that you love the show. But I can't say I love it anymore. I can say I like it. I can say I want to see where it goes, but I can't say I'm tempted to not even buy my Rooster Teeth First membership for the next volume because of this volume. It was that bad. Now, if RTX comes out and they say, yeah, Miles and Carrie are gonna take a step back, we've got some professional writers, we're gonna get some editors involved, I'd be on that shit like that. I'd be like, yeah, I'm buying it. But because this is worse than the Red versus Blue in the last few seasons have had bad shows, but this is worse than that. This is arguably it's a jump the shark moment, legitimately. It's the Raven is a spring maiden moment of the show. Like it's a moment where nothing is you can no longer trust anything that's stated in the episode as fact anymore. Everything that's stated in the episode it's gone. It doesn't matter, and that's what pisses me off. Okay, sorry, I'm leaving now. I'll see you guys next volume. Maybe I'll do some videos, I think every 5 or 6 episodes for Chibi, just to discuss it, because I'm super excited for Chibi. Like, comment down below on with the show. See you guys next volume. It's Carriage signing off.